So it just so happens, ladies and gentlemen, all of our panelists here are movers and shakers in their own right, and they will be the big to-do tomorrow in our community. To facilitate things, we've got the Retail's Sales Support VP with Regions Bank and Legacy Business League's Executive Board Member. Round of applause for Jonathan August. He'll be our facilitator. And our panelists will be Elsie Singer. Let's give her a round of applause, an accomplished songwriter. Along with Jasmine Ball, fashion, beauty, and lifestyle blogger. Antoine Taylor, an intervention court coordinator. And Brandy McGill, news anchor and reporter. Let's give all of our panelists one more round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Tamari. Good afternoon, everyone. As he said, I'm Jonathan August. I'm happy to be here with you today on behalf of Legacy Business League. This panel is for the entire audience. We want to make sure we connect with, let's say, the youth or the younger people that are in the room. So if you are 22 or under, if you would, if you're not embarrassed by sharing your age, but if you're 22 and under, I would ask that you come forward and join us in the seats up front. Anyone 22 and under? I hear some chuckling like 22 was a long time ago. I get it. I'm not really that far removed from it. All right, I see some people moving. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause. Thank you guys for coming up. And part of the reason why we want them to come forward is this is really meant to be a discussion and a conversation. And as conversations, we want them to feel comfortable to ask, to dialogue, and to just connect. All right, so with that being said, we're going to dive right in. I will ask each one of our panelists. We had our pre-call. We were discussing during the pre-call, and I said, when you think about who you are and where you are today, how would you describe yourself? And so you may have heard a little bit of their bio, but I'll give them each about a minute to just introduce themselves and share anything about themselves that they'd like to. And we'll start with Antoine on the end.
Hello. How's everyone doing? So my name is Antoine Taylor. I am the coordinator for intervention court for Harrison, Hancock, and Stone counties. It is a felony probation program where a participant spends 21 months to 5 years. It's very intense. They have to be drug tested at least 3 times a week, earn or obtain their GED, have a job, as well as report to court once a week. After this intense program, they receive their expungement. I became the coordinator from being a probation officer. I graduated from college in 2012. I worked at a grocery store for a year, and then my dad called and said, hey, it's time to get a career job. They sent me a website, so anything that had a bachelor's degree, I was just applying to. I came across this one job, field worker. I'm like, okay, I can work in the field. I didn't realize that they were saying probation officer. So I went to the interview. They asked me if I knew anything about probation. I said, sure. I watched a TV show. From that TV show, I went to become a probation officer where I completed the police academy in 11 weeks. I stayed a probation officer for 8 years, and then I transitioned to the role of coordinator. In the meantime, I do have a 6-year-old daughter who is here. She's small and mighty. I didn't expect her to show up, but I'm glad she did. I am in the community where I'm on the board chair for Boys and Girls Club, Greater Harrison County. I'm a part of Coast Shark Professionals, Leadership Gulf Coast, the North Gulfport Civic Club. I participate with Legacy Business League as well as Tribe that's upcoming. So I get everywhere. But I'm also in school too. I'm in grad school. I just started. We attending Millsaps this from 2025 to 2026.
Nice, thank you so much for sharing. And one of the things that one of the other panelists said is that she describes you as a chief connector of people as well. So I think you left that out of your job description. But.
I do.
Okay. Jasmine?
This makes me feel so official. I'm Jasmine Ball. I am from Gulfport. Currently, I do PR for the Fine Arts Department at Gulfport School District. This is where I am able to showcase students and get them heavily involved on media platforms to showcase their stories and hopefully get them some engagement to go to colleges and let them be seen. On the times that I'm not working, I do run a fashion blog. It's called The Ball Post. It's where I started this fashion blog when COVID arrived, and it gave me an outlet to just be myself and show my personality online, and it grew from there. I also have a passion for doing editorial work and learning about fashion designers all on the coast, which gives me the opportunity to showcase it to people that are local and brighten their eyes around different design or designers or fashion trends or different things like that. I'm so happy to be here with you all, and I hope y'all guys enjoy the panel.
We're glad you're here too. All right, Elsie, to you.
I am Elsie. I'm a country soul singer, songwriter, baseball wife, small event space owner, and Airbnb manager. I do it all. I'm also a mommy of two, which I have one with me today. Hey, Stella. I probably describe myself, yes, I'm an entertainer and everything else that I just listed, but I'm also an overcomer. I've been through a lot, and I share that through my music. And I don't know, I'm so grateful to be here today too. The theme was continue to dream. I feel like that's just perfect because that's basically what I've been holding on to and why I'm up here today. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to kind of share my story with everybody.
Thank you for being here. We're going to close out with introduction to Brandy.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy McGill. I am the weekend evening anchor here at WLOX News. I also fill in on the 4 o'clock show 3 days out of the week. I'm also over a segment, Gulf Coast Moms, our weekly top 5, and as well as behind the business. So throughout all of those things, and prior to me coming here, I was the weekday morning anchor in Hattiesburg at WDAM. But me being in this position has truly taught me how to continue to be an advocate for myself, no matter how young you are or whatever your background may be. Me being a young mom of 2, welcoming my first child into the world my sophomore year of college. So it was a rocky start, and things I had to overcome and deal with, but also never give up. And having, that support system around me. So I'm so thankful to be here, talk to the younger generation. I feel so official, like Jasmine said, to be up here and to be kind of getting out of my comfort zone. I know a lot of people, you may know me, and I know a lot of faces, but I'm always talking to a camera and reading off a prompter, not really to a crowd. So hopefully you guys just take it easy on me in all of this.
Well, Jasmine, or Brandy, we're going to start with you. So you shared with us that you are you're a news anchor. Is that what you saw for yourself as a child? And if not, how did you arrive to where you are today?
I would say this was always my dream. My grandmother, she raised me. Definitely my best friend. My grandma, she's everything. She can do everything. She's always remodeling the house, but she would always keep the news on. And me growing up watching WDAM, so it was definitely like a full circle moment to work there and do the same position that the woman I grew up watching, Miranda Beard. It always sparked that that's something that I wanted to do. Now, it did kind of, hit me to where I wanted to be a pediatrician because I was like, oh, I love kids. But then once I started taking more science classes, I was like, yeah, this is not my thing. I struggled all the way through college dealing with science courses. So I was like, yeah, English, journalism, that's definitely for me. And I enjoy talking and just showing personality. And sometimes my grandma would say I talk too much. So now I'm actually getting paid to do it.
Awesome. Antoine, and this is something I know a lot of times, I'm a dad of 4, I have 3 daughters and 1 son, and so my son, who's my oldest, he's 21, I will acknowledge, he's not much of a planner. My girls knows, As soon as they start walking and talking, they think about the future. So Antoine, for you, when you were a young man, what did you envision life like as an adult? And do you feel like you are where you thought you would be at this point in your life?
For sure, I did not. As a kid, I grew up in reality TV mode. So going to school, I wanted to be a reality star. In fact, I spoke to the advisor. I said, listen, I want to go on MTV Real World. I know I can do it. And he was like, okay, so in order to be a reality star, you have to learn how to read business contracts. So he put me in school of business. But even as a kid, I remember early on, maybe kindergarten or first grade, I asked my cousin, who was in elementary school at the time, to help me write a letter to send to the president about the homeless population. So I've always had like a giving heart, but of course, growing up, being in the age of social media, reality shows, I kind of lost my way. However, God has placed me in different areas where it came back. And I am able to meet people to say, hey, come out and do this. Okay, I will. And that's where I met someone else, where we were able to pass out turkeys for Thanksgiving. From passing out turkeys for Thanksgiving, we do a trunk or treat. I even volunteered with her for Breakfast with Santa Claus. Got glitter everywhere. 10 out of 10, I do not recommend buying glitter for a bunch of kids, okay? I was so thankful that the glitter got out the carpet. I thought I was going to have to pay another deposit. However, yeah, everything happens for a reason. And even when you're growing up, you may lose your way, but if it's your purpose, it'll circle back.
Jasmine, so what sparked your love for fashion, and how did that evolve into a career?
I would say what sparked my love for fashion was seeing my grandmother sew a lot. She would sew a lot of quilts or clothing. My mom also sews too. But it also came down to church. Every Sunday we were dressed. Like that was the thing. And it kind of got me into the realm of like thinking, okay, well, every single time I show up, I need to be dressed. I need to look good. I never know who I'm going to meet, you know? So I think that kind of it put a little spark in me to always just show who I was through clothing, because you never know who you're going to meet. So yeah.
I agree. You know, we were always taught put your best foot forward, and I will say in 2025 that has evolved a little bit. What shows up sometimes, I'm in a professional environment where, you know, pretty much. I mean, I grew up where we had to wear suit and ties, and I can't tell you the last time I saw a tie in any office space. It's just, if somebody would have told me, I'm gonna date myself 24 years ago when I first got in banking, that's where we would be. But you evolve and you continue to grow. Elsie, so we know that you're a country and soul singer. Growing up, were you passionate about country music?
My parents are pastors, so it was just straight 2000s gospel, like Kirk Franklin, Kurt Carr, Yolanda Adams, just Shirley C, you know, the gospel greats. So I didn't quite grow up listening to country, but it was always around. When I wanted a break from the gospel radio station, we could listen to country because it wasn't as bad as, you know, the other music that we could tap into in the early 2000s. Hello, Nelly and Juvenile. So I grew up gospel straight. I started singing in the church. I was always in the choir, and then my parents got our family a piano. I'm one of 6 children, 5 girls, 1 boy. They got us a piano, and I was kind of the only one that kind of took to it, so I'm self-taught. And then I was 5th grade. By 7th grade, my dad had fired the church musician, and he was like, hey, you're up. And I was like, me? I literally play with 3 fingers. Like, I don't want to do this. It was like, well, you don't have a choice. And so from 7th grade until I was married at 21, which is really young now that I think about it. But from 7th grade until I was married, I was our church musician, and my brother was on the drums. And I'm so grateful that my dad forced me into that child labor at the time. Is he here, Dad? Are you here? Oh, there he is. That's the culprit back there. I'm so glad that he, made me stick with it, because the more I played at church on Sunday, you learn how to perform. And I started songwriting at around 17, and they would let me perform my songs during church. They would let me perform my songs, so it really gave me great practice. But I was a straight gospel girly for a very long time.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and kind of giving us a little bit of background. When I think about hearing all of our panelists share, I think about journey and about embracing the journey. And while some of them have shared that they're doing exactly what they saw themselves doing, others are saying, you know what, they are where they are today, not necessarily what they thought they would be, but they've embraced the kind of twists and turns of life. So thank you guys. As we move on, let's talk about overcoming obstacles a little bit. We're going to start with Jasmine. So as a teen, did you face any challenges in pursuing your creative path, and how did you overcome these doubts or obstacles?
As a teen, I think you tend to get in your head a lot, in which in adulthood you still get in your head a lot. But I think I had a lot of mentors around me, especially my family and my church family. I was a dancer, so I was already in the creative realm, so coming into who I was through fashion was something simple to me. I just had to make sure that I had the support around me to get the things that I wanted to do out and express myself in that kind of way.
Awesome. Well, and so thank you for sharing that. Antoine, it's kind of same question to you. What obstacles did you face? But let's talk about dealing with conflict a little bit as well. I think sometimes, as just people, but then if you have labels that other people assign you, a black man, black woman, person of color, whatever, sometimes they try to assign certain labels and attributes to us. And so let's talk about, how you dealt with conflict as a young person, how you deal with conflict today.
For sure. So I knew in my career, I met several type of people. I'm talking about from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich. Working in a grocery business, I was able to work on my customer service skills. That way I knew how to speak to anyone, whether or not they had money or they didn't. And coming to probation, I used that skill to reach someone to their personal, at that level that they were. Started to become a community leader, I wanted to reach out to people that I had admired. So I would call, I would try to talk to them, just have a conversation. Where do I start? Where do I begin? What clubs do I join? How do I volunteer? I would speak to people, we would have an amazing conversation on the phone, and then when I would go to meet them in person, they like they never met me. It was very difficult because it was from my own community. And just to be completely frank, we're all adults here for the most part, and we're growing. I was accepted more from another community that did not look like me. So I had an internal conflict where if I'm not accepted by my own community, how can I help my community? That's what motivated me to work as hard as I'm working. In fact, I met people from my community that is really helping me. They talk to me day by day. My church family, who I don't know why, I just thought, I didn't ask them. I always admired them from a distance, but I was always afraid to go up and say, hey, can you help me get to where you are? I think that's probably how I'm on the stage now, to be honest. What I'm getting to is, if there's a conflict, do not just stop at that conflict. Understand it, learn a lesson from it, and move on. There's always someone else that can help you. There's always another person that is in a better position to help pick you up and get you to where you want to go. That's how I handled it. I kept going. My feelings was hurt. I recognized my feelings was hurt, and then I found a different direction.
Well, thank you for sharing, Antoine. When I think about conflict too, I think sometimes, we can, absolutely the pain, the emotion associated with it. But I've learned too, one of the things I've learned is perspective. Looking back as I consider myself middle-aged, I have adult children now, so looking back, some of the things that I thought were just monumental, and I just was so insistent about at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now in my 40s, at a different vantage point, I understand that there was probably more about the situation than I understood. And so now I kind of ask questions, seek to understand. I admittedly, anybody who probably dealt with me as a young manager, I was probably shooting first and asking questions later. Well, now I kind of ask questions to understand, validate, and try to understand vantage points. So thank you so much for sharing, Antoine. So Elsie, we're going to come to you. Let's talk about what's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody that has that's experiencing a setback, and how they would get back up today.
One piece of advice that I would give someone who has experienced a setback has to be, you just have to, what's the saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just have to keep going. There was a time recently in my life, we had moved to Korea, and I had 2 kids under 2. And I'm like, I am not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be on somebody's stage right now in my cowboy hat and cowgirl boots, singing and doing what I love, but instead I'm halfway across the world. I'm eating this food that I have no clue. I don't know what this is. I can't read anything. My children are crying and everybody's homesick. God, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be right here. And I just felt like my dreams have become, and I feel like my dreams have become so far out of reach. But I woke up every day with this dream on my mind and on my heart to get back to the stage. Because I had a 5-year hiatus because we started our family. And I was dealing with postpartum depression, so pressing through that. And I just woke up every day with me getting backstage on my mind. And that's literally why I'm here today, is because I kept eating the elephant. So do what you can, take it one day at a time. And it sounds so cliche, but don't give up. If it's in your heart, God will, it's not in the Bible, but we act like it is. If God will bring you to it, he'll bring you through it. So I just kind of had to hold on to that and eat that elephant one bite at a time. Amen.
Brandy, so if somebody's facing failure today, you think about, post-COVID, job landscape changing, and even if you're young, there may be a lot of uncertainty about tomorrow, right? What would you say to somebody that's facing failure today and how they could visualize themselves? Obviously, we want to know, keep pushing, don't get off the path. But if they're facing failure today, what's one piece of advice you can offer them?
Well, first I would just say don't sit in your failure. And then your failure may not even be a failure. That could literally be God just putting you in a place like, hey, this isn't for you right now. I'm gonna put you in another place. So for me personally, everything that I've done, I've put my children at the forefront of my career, life, everything. So when I was originally in Biloxi as my first job in 2019, and I was here until 2021, I've tried to make changes according to my life, and I was expecting my second child. Didn't really want everybody in my business at the moment, but I thought that was I was super sad about leaving the area, but that was God just putting me in a better place, make more money, better schedule for my children, all to be back here in a better position. And I feel like I'm able to reach even more people with, the opportunities that I am presented to at work. So I would definitely say don't sit in that failure. A lot of people, they'll definitely tell you to pray about it. For sure do that, but prayer without work is dead, right? So I would definitely say don't sit in it, keep going, keep chasing after it, and never look over opportunities that could truly be a blessing for you in the future.
Awesome. Not sitting in your failure. Today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. Get up, Tomorrow's a new day. All right, this is open to any of the 4 panelists, and we're gonna talk about balancing dreams with realities. I've heard 3 of the 4 panelists share being a parent, and a parent is a full-time job in and of itself.
Never stopped.
Listen, it really is. It really is. I was kind of a newly single parent during COVID, and I just remember, quite frankly, being glad that I had to go back, that I was essential personnel, and that I had to go into the office. So I was like, I needed a break. Right. So this is open to anyone. So for anybody that wants to answer, how do you currently balance your passion, your purpose, with the demands of your daily tasks and duties? We'll ask 2 people to answer. I heard a loud sigh.
I'm currently drowning, so we're still trying to figure that out. I'm not gonna answer this.
I go. It just started. It's just happening. My community, my family, they recognize when I'm overwhelmed, and they tell me to slow down. They tell me to get out of my emotions, especially as a parent. Our godmom is amazing. She will like, hey, I'm getting a knife. I'm picking her up, and I'll bring her back to you on this certain day. So sometimes when I don't notice that I'm drowning, I have my family and my friends that are like, hey, you need 5 minutes to yourself. And then they force me into that 5 minutes to myself.
So I'm hearing being vulnerable and open to help. Is that accurate? But you gotta be authentic, right? So sometimes be able to just say, listen, I don't have it all figured out. Anybody else want to answer before we switch to Q&A to see if there are any questions from the audience?
Real quick, I would just say it's okay not to be okay. So for me, being a mother of 2 children, I have a 7-year-old, a 2-year-old, work life, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna make more money, what else am I gonna do in this life, but having that village and that community support. But also, I mean, a pastor here on the coast, like, he will say, you have to have your altar. You have to know where you can have your quiet space to truly just have a conversation with yourself, but also God. So you just gotta keep going, but also realize like, okay, I'm not okay right now. I need to take a step back. The kids are crying, they're screaming. I'm gonna go in my closet. I'm gonna talk to myself just to have a minute.
Absolutely. For me, that is still to this day, it is my car. I sit in my car, I look, and I love my kids, but you know, when you walk in the house, I don't care what's going on. So they now have the 6-pack, Reese's peanut butter cups, and I get the 6-pack, I eat 2, and then I know that when I go in the house, my kids are eating the other 4, right? But I eat those 2 in peace and quiet, and just understand, like, it's a woosah space. So give yourself, if you're an adult out there, I see some head nods, like, yes, it's okay. Give yourself that 10 minutes in the driveway. Still go in the house eventually, but they will be all right. All right, so let's talk about Q&A. I'd like to hear from anybody that has a question for any of the panelists, young person or adult.
One of the audience participants, Dr. John Kelly, asked us to ask you, how do you manage conflict in a day and time where so much of your business is on social media, so much of us see images in the media and on TV about gun violence and fighting, and sometimes we revert to that. That seems to be part of our culture, particularly, unfortunately, in Gulfport right now with the gun violence among young people. How could you speak to individuals in the room on how they can manage their anger, conflict resolution when you're in that moment, bullying, so on and so forth? Dr. Kelly, did I get it right?
You got it right.
All right.
Listen to me. You don't want to go to jail. It's very expensive. So, do what you gotta do. You don't, that's the last thing. I personally am afraid of going to, that's one of my biggest fears, is going to prison. So I just have to step back and say, okay, how are we gonna figure this out? We don't automatically, go to violence, maybe count to 10 or call your mom, or just, you gotta figure something out to where we're not taking that step forward and getting violent. Get your Reese's Pieces. We gotta figure something, whatever works for you. Personally, for me, just thinking about my kids and how they would be affected if I was to go off the rails and respond with violence. That keeps me centered. So just find something that keeps you centered and hold on tight to it.
Kind of just really piggybacking off of her, like having your coping mechanism, but truly just control your emotions. You really got to just sit back, be slow to speak, quick to listen, because sometimes you may act out of emotions or say things that you probably don't really mean, but you're so heated or you're so, just in a dark place that you're like, okay, I need to be heard. Sometimes you just don't need to be heard. Sometimes you just need to keep your mouth shut, let it go, calm down, talk to yourself about it, and definitely don't go on social media, because that's always going to be there, no matter if you delete it. Do not put your business out on social media. I could be going through a storm in my real life, but no one in this room would probably know about it, because it's no one's business. So definitely don't go out acting on emotions. Control yourself, and like you say, find your coping mechanisms.
I mean, that was, controlling yourself. And here's, I'll add to that. I'm not a panelist, but as a moderator and as a parent, I always tell my children, we tend to be able to see the situation as it's festering, right? So sometimes just like, okay, you see it's not a big fire, but it's embers, it's burning a little bit. That's when it's time to get some water or leave. Like I will remove myself from the situation, live to discuss it another day, versus just trying to, really a lot of times when we think about the conflict that we experience, it's really based in pride. People, we were embarrassed in front of our people, in front of our girl, in front of, our community, and now I must show them I'm not a little boy. But now when you're spending life in prison, and your mother, father, sister, brother is having to make a 2 or 3 hour drive to come see you. And we own a funeral home in Biloxi, and we see even the toilet it takes, even on seniors in our community. They're trying to figure out, how to get a loved one to come visit them. And so just think about beyond today. Just like I said earlier, tomorrow's another day. Well, we want to be around and free tomorrow when that next day gets here. Before we close out, any questions from the panelists before we close? Yes, ma'am.
The church can't do it all. The homes can't do it all. The schools can't do it all. We as parents have to listen to our children. We have to pay attention to what's going on with our children. What's going on is getting younger and younger. So my thing is, we got to go back to God. That's how we got this far. It's with God. Back in the slave fields, God. All the things that we're going through is because we got to go back to God. He is our answer to all of our problems in this world. Thank you.
Of course, I don't disagree, but I think what Dr. Kelly and some others are hoping for is to get to the heart of these young people that are in the moment and don't know how to count to 5, eat a Reese's Pieces. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that we've come around to because we've done the work. But when you're 15 and your hormones are raging and you've been embarrassed in front of somebody and you have access to guns and you've been reared in a God-fearing home, you still don't know necessarily how to manage those emotions and that fear. So there's still a lot of work still to be done.
Can I piggyback? All right.
We'll have you close us out.
Great. So looking around, I see many generations, but literally right in front of me are young men. I will let you know now that understanding and controlling your emotion is very difficult. To this day, I'm dealing with it as well. Your family wants you to go to church, please go to church. That should be your foundation. But there are other reasons. There are other resources that are open to you all. Find a therapist. It's okay to talk, okay? I'm sorry. It's okay to speak to someone. If you do not want a therapist, find you a board of supervisors that can be your best friends. Now, don't find a twin that thinks exactly like you. All right, you find somebody that is in school. You find someone that will tell you the truth without always being negative. You may be mad in a moment, but understand that social media is temporary. You wait 5 minutes, somebody is on to something else. Every battle you do not have to win. It is okay to lose to win another day. All right, you all? It may be difficult. You may be mad at yourself because you cannot respond. But you have another day to figure out another plan. All right? Prison is not nice. It is not nice. All right? I've been there. I've been there for job duties. I'm sorry. Let me explain. I had to go there because MBOC told me to go there and shake down some people, okay? But the moment I could get out and the moment I ran out, you don't want to do that. All right?
My question is, what is a way that y'all deal with fear of failure?
The way that I combat fear of failure is by going out there and attempting to fail. You don't know if you can fail unless you fail. But even if you do fail, there's a lesson to be learned. You know what not to do. You know what, the grass wasn't green on this side. I'm still happy right here in this area right now. So, no, it's very difficult. I want to explain this to y'all. Life is very difficult, but you have to keep putting your foot in front of the next. I was in church a couple Sundays ago. Basically, the message was, a new year starts with a new day, and that day is today. Just keep trying.
To piggyback. A lesson that I've learned with failure is that we try to make the end goal happen immediately, instead of actually taking it piece by piece, chunk by chunk. It's always something, like he said, learning something, and sometimes you get off of the direction and you feel like that's a failure, but it's really not a failure. It's a setup for something that's greater, just like they said. So you have to make sure that every day that you wake up, you're having a tangible goal. What is today's tangible goal? Not, oh my God, I want to be an actress. Let me just go to Hollywood and just let me be here. It's more like, what are the steps to get there? And every day that you wake up, you take that little bite and you're like, I made my tangible goal. So have tangible goals in place to get to that end goal that you want, no matter if it's obstacles around it.
All right. All right, so this concludes this portion of the panel. We'll ask everyone to give you guys a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you, Antoine, Jasmine, Brady, and Elsie. We have some gift bags for you guys.